1K Dreamer, please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Many of you have been asking me what to do with fodders. How do you use them? So this video is going to be specially made to talk about that. But before we begin, I need to apologize for the spreadsheet being too overused and people cannot get in. It is not pay-locked, don't worry. I have published it as a web page as Google suggested, and this is the new link you can visit it at. The different tabs are at the bottom of the screen, so use that to navigate. Okay, back to the fodders. So you have 6 different types of fodders, and why do I say 6? Because you have fodders all the way from 1-star grade to 6-star grade. I'm using my Korea account because I feel like I have more fodders here to show you compared to my global account. So let's begin with 1-star fodders. What do you do with 1-star fodders? Usually I will just use 1-star fodders to upgrade and feed 3-star fodders. When I mean feed, I mean use to enhance. So usually what I will do is pick a 3-star fodder and then I'll do this. This will be my usual setting, but because when I do this, there are too many 2-star fodders, this will appear and they will just use the first 52-star fodders. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to turn this off. Okay, but there's one concern, and that is depending on how your usual farming is in the game. Sometimes you have so many 1-star fodders. Maybe you are farming in a lower area of adventure and you are getting so many 1-star fodders. So if you watch this right now, you might be thinking, I'm going to throw all my 1-star fodders without leveling them to the 3-star, and that is not right because you should be leveling them up. Unless you're progressing in adventure so quickly that you are only getting 2-star fodders and above. And then you realize that because of your auto farm settings, your 1-star fodders rarely get upgraded. And because your settings are set to prioritize higher ranks such as your 2-star and 3-stars and sometimes even 4-stars, right? So if this happens, they may neglect the 1-star fodders, and in this case, if you have a constant supply of fodders coming in at higher ranks, then I would say it is okay to sacrifice your 1-star fodders at level 1. Otherwise, you may want to change the setting to prioritize lower rank first depending on your own preference and what kind of fodder you want to use. So this is all for 1-star fodders. The next are the 2-star fodders. What do you do with 2-star fodders? Usually what I will do is pick a 4-star that I do not want and want to fuse away, such as Bane, or I will pick a 4-star that is useful and I want to upgrade it and rank him up or rank her up, so something like that. There is a 25% chance of enhancement success, and I think this is actually decent most of the time. Sometimes I just want 3-star fusions, and sometimes I do not have enough 4-star heroes to power up, so I may just feed 2-stars to 3-stars as well. But rarely I will do that. So this is how I manage 2-star fodders, and I will make sure that my 2-star fodders are all leveled up at the max level. And I always choose this max level option because I know the game will level up the 2-stars. And as you can see, towards the end game, you will have a lot of 2-stars and in fact lesser 4-stars to power up. So this can be something you want to think about to decide whether you want to power up 4-stars or power up 3-stars later on. And in fact, I will talk about powering up 3-stars in the later part of this video, and it will be pretty unique. Okay, the next one are your 3-star fodders. I think 3-star fodders are something that many people are wondering what to do with them, and I would say they are the most precious resource in the game, especially in the early game. Usually what I'll do with the 3-star fodders is that I'll feed them to the 5-star fodders. And if I don't have enough 3-star fodders, then my next option will be the 2-star fodders. But I think of course you will see the percentage is definitely way lower, but my priority is still the 3-star fodders to power up the 5-star fodders. Make sure you select the high rank first to ensure that the 3-stars are put in first. There are also other uses for 3-stars you need to remember, and that is for your crafting. You have to always do your crafting no matter what, especially in the beginning stages. Especially when the heroes that you want are also important like Feng Yan, Ariel, Lee, Charon, Victoria, Lucy. All these are raid heroes and you have to use 3-stars to craft them. And I think you should do this at the beginning of every week to make it a habit, so you won't forget throughout the week. So usually by Sunday every week, you should have a good collection of 3-star fodders ready to be sent to crafting on Mondays when the reset happens. The other use for 3-star fodders is of course fusion, like I mentioned earlier, and it really depends on the amount of 3-star fodders that you have. Like for myself, I have so many 3-star fodders and very little 5-stars to actually power up. Then I might consider enhancing them and then sending them for fusion. But my priority will always go to fusing the 5 stars because fusing 5 stars gives me the chance to increase the gauge to get the 7 Knights of O. So this is something you need to keep in mind because other than this way, there's not many other effective ways for free-to-play players to get the 7 Knights of O. And that is how I mainly use my 3-star Fodders. Next up, we're going to talk about the 4-star Fodders. For 4-star Fodders, in the early game, you may use them as Fodders. You may trash them to power up your 6 stars, and that's not wrong. Like, you can use all the Banes here to power up your Teo. And if you realize auto-selecting Fodder may sometimes use up your essential Fodders like Feng Yi and Evan, so you need to check carefully. The other use for 4-star Fodders, as I mentioned earlier, is that they can be fused as well. So I take my 2 Banes after getting them to +5, fuse them, and get a brand new 5-star which you then can level up and get rubies from. I tend to fuse them to get my 5 stars, and I will repeat this process and fuse the 5 stars into the 6 stars. And this is a very repetitive process, but it gets the work done. The other use for 4-star Fodders is Transcendence. As you can see here, I have many rays, and after leveling them up to level 30, I will just use them to transcend my first ray. And unlike the original 7 Knights, you don't need to rank up your heroes to 6-star and use them as Transcendence materials. You can just use them at the 4-star level. So that is all for 4 stars. Next up, we have the 5-star Fodders. So you don't usually use 5-star Fodders to enhance anything. 5-star Fodders are not meant for enhancement and not meant for crafting as well, and mainly used for fusion. To me, that's their sole purpose. The only reason you have a 5-star unit is to power up and to fuse them and to get your 7 Knights of O gauge increased. So you may have this question: what if you fuse a 5-star copy of a hero that you are building? What should you do with them? Well, personally, I would say it depends on where you are in the game. For example, if you fuse the 5-star Evan and you also have a 6-star Evan who is probably maybe T4, at this point, if you are still early game, and which is the whole global server basically, then you should use this 5-star copy as Transcendence. I mean, it's still a duplicate copy, right? But of course, you may think of using elements to rank him up to get a 6-star and then use him as ultimate enhancement. Well, it is also one of the considerations, but first you need to ask yourself if there's really no other heroes that require the same element. If we were looking at someone else like Feng Yi, for example, Feng Yi is a very useful hero, but at 5-star, would you rather use him as Transcendence material, or would you actually have 50 high-grade fire elements to rank him up to 6-star to unlock the gear slots on your heroes? It really depends on how many fire element heroes you have that are not built yet, and what will be more important to prioritize your elements on. Eventually, if you reach the end game where your heroes are all built, then yes, perhaps you can consider ranking up 5-star heroes for ultimate enhancement. So to sum up, 5-star Fodders can be used in 3 ways. You can use them for either Transcendence or Fusion, or you rank them up and use them for ultimate enhancement. Then let's look at 6-star Fodders. Do you use them to transcend? For example, I have a snipper that is 6-star here. Do I transcend him to another snipper? Do I use him as material? Well, I won't do that at all because 6-star heroes that I fuse, I will always use them for ultimate enhancement. This is the most important purpose for any 6-star Fodder that you have, and also this is one of the most important processes in the game, that is to get 4 gears on your heroes. And it is very difficult in the beginning, I know, trust me, but it does get better over time as you progress in your adventure and you have more fodder to work your way up. But you may also have this dilemma in your mind. Same thing, let us use Evan as an example. If you are building an Evan and you fuse a 6-star Evan out of convenience, you may think, oh, I'm building an Evan, so I will use this 6-star to transcend my current Evan that I'm building. Again, I won't do that because you can transcend heroes very easily with even just 4-star copies or even just 5-star copies. Why would you want to use a 6-star copy to transcend a unit when a 4-star copy can already do that? The 6-star copy is far more precious and you can use that for ultimate enhancement on a raid unit, for example, that you are using like Victoria or Lucy. You know, if you just fuse this 6-star Lucy, for example, it is more worth in the early game to use this 6-star version to unlock your gear slots rather than Transcendence, because you can easily get 4-star Lucys from your wish list and your crafting to do that same purpose of transcending. Then there's another purpose for 6-star heroes, and that is your crafting. Like I mentioned in the tips video, you can craft one legendary hero at random using 10 6-star heroes that you don't need. If you see here, I already have some prepared for the next month. For example, if you fuse a Cathy, you can either use her for ultimate enhancement, or if you do not have heroes that need to be ultimate enhanced anymore, you can just keep her here and wait every month for this to reset, and do this every month to get a free random legendary hero. And again, if you have trash 6-star legendary hero, you can use them to then craft a legendary hero of your choice. So this will be the two main users for 6-star fodder. Last but not least, I mentioned to you guys earlier that there's something unique I wanted to show you guys, and this involves ranking up 3 stars. So I learned this from a Korean YouTuber, but I haven't really practiced it much because I haven't had the time to these few days. So this only applies to the end game. If you are a new player, if you are not listening to this part, it really doesn't matter. But if you want to find out what happens in the end game, this is something you can consider. So what he basically does is he ranks up his 3-star fire element fodders with 1 star and 2 stars, something like that. And then you may think, oh, you can actually use that for fusion. But yes, you can do that for fusion, but he actually continues to rank these trash up with low grade elements. Because at this point in time, elements come in abundance. I mean, look at my element count. I have so many elements and have so many Pookie tickets, but I don't have enough heroes to use them on as well. So he actually downgrades and dismantles the higher grade elements into the lowest tier element, and he will use them to upgrade his 3 stars into 4 stars. And why does he only do this for fire element fodders? Is because the fire element dungeon is the fastest and easiest dungeon to clear within 3 hits, or even just 1 hit, okay? So it's very fast. And of course, remember what I mentioned about the users of 4-star fodders. So after he ranks them up and gets 4-star fodders, then he will then basically fuse them into 5 stars and 6 stars, and then also thereby increasing the gauge for the 7 Knight of Old. So again, it's the same process of ranking and fusing, and eventually the goal is really to fuse as much as you can to get the 7 Knights of Old. But this is a very endgame behavior, so I won't really recommend you guys to do this at all, because 3-star fodders are now your most precious resource. So I've come up with this summary list based on whatever I have mentioned in this video, and I hope it clears up the questions you guys have on how to use fodders. So if it helped, do give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. If you still have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thank you so much and see you!